Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us again for another webinar with FieldView. We are restarting our Friends with FieldView sessions, and so you'll see several of those in the upcoming weeks here in February and March. We have our friends from Farmers Mutual Hail on the phone with us today, and we have some great content to talk about how FieldView and Farmers Mutual Hail connect. Before we get started, if you wouldn't mind advancing the next slide, there are some housekeeping and some legal components that we want to make sure that we take care of to keep ourselves out of hot water with our legal team. And so the Friends with FieldView webinars are for informational purposes only. We hope that this information helps you when you're talking with farmers, and as farmers want to know how FieldView is connecting with other partners. And so with that said, we have not vetted, Climate LLC has not vetted or does not endorse any claims made by third parties. And the next thing that I want to make sure that you know how to do is how to ask questions. And so next slide, please. There are a couple ways that you can ask questions within WebEx. You should see a Q&A panel on the right side of your screen. You can address questions to all panelists, to everyone on the call, or just to the host. However you do that, I'll be keeping my eye on the Q&A box as well as the chat. If you want to place a question in the chat instead of the Q&A, that's fine as well. I'll be watching both, and we will address those questions to the presenters when we see best fit, if they fit into the presentation at the time, or we may hold them for the end. Next slide. We have with us on the phone today Scott Speck. He is a Climate Activation Manager, and he's going to get us started with introducing our panelists from Farmers Mutual Hail.
Thank you so much, Mindy, and thank you for joining us for this first session of the Friends of FieldView series here in 2022, featuring Farmers Mutual Hail. The goal of our Friends of FieldView series is to provide you with general awareness about the partners who are integrated with FieldView, while also providing insight into their teams, their products, and their solutions. We are looking forward to hearing today from the speakers Carrie Flynn, who's the Marketing Project Lead at FMH, Branden Plummer, who's the Precision Technology Specialist at FMH, and we're also joined as well by Don Stoppelmoor, who's the AVP and Business Development Manager at FMH. If you don't know about them, FMH provides complete farm insurance solutions and works to secure the financial future of farmers and mutuals with federal and private crop insurance, farm and ranch insurance, and reinsurance products. With the connection between FieldView and FMH, growers can electronically report acreage and production to their agent with just a few simple clicks. Farmers Mutual Hail can also use this data to adjust a loss. That's reducing the time spent on a claim so that you can be paid even faster. Please be sure to ask questions as we go along this morning, as Mindy had shown in the panel to the right, and we will be sure to answer those as we go along this morning. Thanks again for joining us, and I will pass it over to the FMH team to get things kicked off. Branden, Don, Carrie, it's all yours.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you so much for having us on today. My name is Carrie Flynn, and I am from the marketing team at FMH, and I have had the opportunity to be part of the team that has gotten the FieldView and FMH integration off the ground and made sure that we got the word out about it to all of our agents and growers, and work closely with Branden. Branden, you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Carrie. Branden Plummer, Precision Tech Specialist with the company. So I am more boots on the ground, working directly with you, the farmer, and then our independent agents out across the U.S. So been talking a lot about Climate FieldView over the past few years, and glad to be here today.
Branden, you can go on to the next slide here. So just a really quick introduction of FMH. If you're not familiar with FMH, we are a crop company, crop insurance. So we offer the MPCI and the private products, along with P&C in some of our Midwestern states there that you can see. But we've been around since 1893. So that's one of those things we take a lot of pride in. Makes us unique amongst the 13 AIPs that offer the federal program. And we're actually entering our 130th year this March. So that's one of our really proud points there. Also, we're an American company. And so just based on the structure and a lot of the acquisitions that have happened, with crop insurance companies over the last 10 years, 10 or 20 or 30 years, really. We are one of the last American-owned companies. So we're based out of Iowa and also take pride in that really unique factor. And then we're also a mutual company, which means our policyholders actually own the company. And so that really keeps our focus on keeping our policyholders as our top priority, not necessarily stakeholders or parent companies. And then we have grown a ton. So just wanted to point that out, that Farmers Mutual Hail, you might think of as Midwest. You know, we've got a big market share in Iowa and in the Midwest, but we've actually grown across the entire country over the past decade here. So, and also a family company. So those are just some of the really unique things that make FMH a little bit different from some of the other AIPs. Just wanted to get you acquainted with FMH if you weren't aware, but we can move on to the next here. So our agenda today, we are going to talk about crop insurance and how that connects with technology and why it's really important to think about crop insurance and that technology at this time of the year. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then I'll kick that off, and then Branden will talk about a little bit more about the technology, how it interacts with crop insurance here at FMH, what we do with precision at FMH, and then talk specifically about the FieldView and FMH integration and what we've kicked off here in the last few years and how that works. And then just how you can get started using it and what to do this season to get started with it. And then we'll take some questions at the end. So we'll kick off just with a little bit about how crop insurance has really evolved and how we've been evolving right alongside it with some of the ways that you experience your crop insurance cycle throughout the year. So on the left side, you know, right now's the time. If you have spring crops, you're thinking about what is that coverage that you're going to lock in here before your deadline's coming up, either the end of this month or March 15th. And every year you probably go into your agent and they've got some new acronym in front of you that you may not have heard of, because we've got lots of new products that keep coming out each year. And really those are reacting to the new things that farmers need to have more complete coverage. Farmers are more and more sophisticated. You're finding new ways to just really optimize your profits and optimize your operation so you can make a profit at the end of the year. So more and more products are being added to make sure that you're as covered as much as possible and can make the most of that. But on the same side, there's a parallel with the way that you're interacting with crop insurance. And one of those major points that you're thinking about it throughout the year is the reporting season. So you lock in those coverages here in February, March, if you're spring crop, and then come July, it's in planting time to think about that reporting deadline. And so right alongside those new products, we're thinking of new ways to allow you to do some of those processes. So just some examples with the electronic reporting now, we use digital records versus a lot of those paper records. Even in the last couple of years, we've had a lot more opportunities to have virtual meetings, mobile apps, electronic signatures, just a lot of the ways that technology has come into play to evolve right alongside with crop insurance. So just wanted to emphasize, being February right now, we know that this is maybe one of the only touch points that you really think about that crop insurance decision. But as you think about it now and what you're locking in, thinking about the bigger impacts that it makes to the operation. So if you've got the right coverage and you really maximize your coverage levels, thinking about really the end in mind there, we know that there's a lot of other relationships that you interact with throughout the year that also depend on you being financially secure. And it also helps you have a mindset even throughout the year of being able to market your grain strategically and being able to invest in technology and continuing to innovate. So we just wanted to make that tie with how crop insurance really impacts those bigger picture impacts to your operation. And then to tie it back around to the technology, which then I'll hand off to Branden, is just thinking about right now as you lock in crop insurance, being able to find that innovation and even finding efficiencies applies even to crop insurance. So some of those impacts that will save you time could impact some of these other areas of your operation. So Branden, I'll hand it off to you to talk about the technology.
Perfect. Well said, Carrie. So yeah, now we're going to jump into the technology, and we're going to just start with how can we start to incorporate technology into crop insurance, which isn't necessarily on our top of mind, but then also what is FMH and Climate FieldView doing specifically a little bit later. But here at FMH, what we call our precision crop insurance solutions, we're taking the data that you're already collecting on the farm in the planter and the combine to use it for your reporting process, so acreage reporting and production reporting. And then we can use that same information to support any claims that come up at the end of the year, or any 3-year audits or reviews that you might have gone through in the past. But really just starting to streamline your crop insurance processes with the data that you already have. Some of the benefits, immediate benefits available to you on the farm, is just going to be convenience, save money, and save time. Those are the big ones that farmers latch onto, and getting the most out of the technology that you've already invested in. So when we're talking about saving money, I'm really referencing let's pay for what you actually plant. So for those of you who work with the local FSA office, I'm guessing it's not uncommon to go in there and they say that your field's 80 acres, but your FieldView data is saying that you might only be planting 77. We can use that precision number on your crop insurance policy, get an accurate policy and accurate liability established instead of having to go with the FSA number. So we can save a little bit of money up front on the acreage reporting piece. It's also going to help you make better decisions. That's just the benefit to precision. You've got a lot of data at your fingertips making those agronomic decisions that's going to help drive profitability on your farm. And then the streamlining of the claims and audit processes. So if you've already sent your data into your local agent, we'll be able to take that information and implement it into your claims processes as well. And then for those of you who are when you're done planting and you go into the local FSA office, you can also use your precision data to help expedite that process as well. So you've got your precision data, you need to transfer it onto the FSA paperwork. Ultimately, the goal would be to spend less time there and get you moving on about your day. Some of the just common issues that precision incorporated into crop insurance can help with, it's going to be that commingled production. So if you have grain going into a bin where we're not necessarily keeping track of units, your harvest records are going to be able to help that tremendously. Or if it's on any type of on-farm storage, I'm seeing a lot more grain bags crop up throughout different areas of the country. So the precision data just allows you to be more accurate and take care of that commingled production problem. For those of you who have cattle and maybe feeding, for crop insurance, we need to know what's the total numbers of bushel off of the farm and off of a unit, but it's not necessarily, but you need to start feeding right away. So sometimes we can get an adjuster out and measure that grain, but if we already have total bushels captured within that harvest map, those feed records don't come into play anymore. And for those that may have irrigated and non-irrigated land where you're planting and harvesting straight through, we can use precision to act as a discernible break to help report and keep records separate for the crop insurance piece. And then if those who have had struggles at the FSA office where the FSA might have written down the wrong crop, so they said it was corn, but it was actually soybeans. Precision data, you probably captured that directly within the monitor. So again, just transferring that accurate information in, we can then help you take the precision information to the FSA office. So kind of change the workflow. Go to the crop insurance agency first, then the FSA office. And then for the audits, I was an adjuster before taking on this precision tech role, and I did participate in a couple audits where we're having to go back and ask for the prior 3 years of records. Now that's not always easy to do. The word audit or review is also a stressful time. So being able to just say, I've got it all in my field view, here it is, let's move on, versus having to go and track down those settlement sheets that may be somewhere in the office. But starting to incorporate your precision data into the crop insurance space really is a natural flow. So when you're done planting, you can review your information in Climate FieldView, and then you can send that on to the agency. And then same with when you're done with your harvest season. Make sure it's all in FieldView, review it for accuracy, and then you can initiate that data transfer. And then I am going to be showing that data transfer, so I'm sure that's a question that might be on your mind right now, but we'll get to a quick demo a little bit later. This slide is really just hitting on what I just said. So I want you to focus on the light blue bars, first on the planting one, so that precision reporting. Basically, when you're done planting, send that data in, and then when you're done harvesting, do the same process. For you, you're out there you might be meeting with your local agent right now. As we approach this March 15th deadline, you're needing to lock in coverage, your crop insurance coverage for the coming year. And then shortly thereafter, you'll be planting, not necessarily thinking about crop insurance anymore, but when you are done planting, bring it back top of mind and initiate that data transfer for the acreage reporting process, which the deadline is July 15th. On the left-hand side here, we've just got a copy of a 578. So traditionally, you're going into the FSA office, sitting down, filling out their paperwork, and then you bring that 578 to the agency, who then keys that into an AIP or FMH's system to establish your policy. Whereas now you can still just streamline that process, send that data in electronically, and we don't need to necessarily rely on a 578. For crop insurance, we do not need all the data points or data layers that you have access to in your FieldView account. So this is a picture of a soybean field from fieldviewplus.com in the top left there. The information that gets transferred into FMH's system is the shape, the acres, and the crop. So that's all we're getting for acreage reporting: crop, date, area covered. And then on the harvest side, we're also pulling wet weight and average moisture for each field. We're not seeing the application rates, so the varieties and the rates that you may have applied during the season, and at the harvest time, we're not seeing the good and the bad spots in the field. We're just getting this shape is X amount of acres and X amount of bushels. So that makes it a lot easier for us as a crop insurance company to consume that data. I'll use the term, we're getting a crop insurance export, just the information that we need. And then if you've already sent your planting data and harvest data into the agency, your adjuster, when it comes to claim time, will have immediate access to that type of information. They're going to be able to verify acres and verify production right off of the information that you've already transferred. And then what they're going to be asking for is a yield monitor calibration report. What that is we're just trying to make sure that the harvest data is accurate compared to a scale source that you might be using on that farm, whether it's a grain cart or a settlement sheet if you're taking the bushels to town. We just want to make sure that that monitor is accurate and can be used for your ultimate loss. Coming from my crop insurance adjusting background, when I first started with the company back in 2013, I primarily worked in Iowa. But at the end of the year, when it's our busiest claim season, so we're talking December, January, February, not always the best time to be outside climbing grain bins, but that's the nature of the job. So there would be days where I've got 30 or 40 grain bins lined up that I need to climb, need to measure, and then gather on farm storage, track down settlement sheets at different elevators. And I'd go back to the hotel or my office and compile that, start entering it into my claim center, to ultimately then go back the next day and review the information and sign off on the loss with you, the farmer. Now our adjusters can take these plant maps and harvest maps that we already have access to, pair it with your calibration report. They can enter all that information in, and when they show up on your farm, it's basically just a review process. Hey, does this look right? Do we have everything captured? And then signing off. So no need to spend half a day or a day with our adjuster helping them measure bins. It really does speed up that end of your process and gives you some time back. And so audits, I'll talk a little bit more on audits. Those, like I said, you're going back, when an audit is triggered, we're supposed to go back 3 years and looking for all those records. But again, you're not necessarily keeping track of those records and knowing exactly, okay, these are my bushels going to my first unit of corn. The precision data is going to make all of that a lot easier for us. So it's really just if I was working a claim and it took me 4 hours, I could probably get your claim done in less than an hour if I just had access to all of your information. And then just let's hear from some farmers in Nebraska and Kansas that we worked with this past couple of years on their precision data.
A long time ago, my dad was friends with the agent, and that built into now where when I got involved. So having those relationships and working together closely, hands-on, that's big for us. We like it when we call, they answer type stuff. From the beginning, when we switched agencies a few years ago and went with our agent and FMH people, that's the single most benefit to us and how we get treated is just the personal touch that they offer. And we were first approached about doing the precision part on the crop insurance. The precision tech specialist came down and they actually kind of walked us through in the office together how it was going to work. He's like, you're already doing precision ag. I know you got all your data and we can put it into precision and do all our reporting for crop insurance that way. I said, that's too simple. Are you serious? We turned on FMH Precision Ag crop insurance. We harnessed what we're already doing and we'll never look back. First year we did the precision, when I turned in the acreage report, the acres were like 6 acres different than what we'd always gone off the FSA. That's not that big a field, so that was a huge difference. Well, over 5,000 acres over years, that adds up. We're paying for less because we had 6 acres less. You're only paying on the acres you plant, and then building up those APHs over time is going to be big for building our base and protecting our revenue side of it. Benefit to using FMH Precision Ag crop insurance would be time. Family time means a lot around here. Just a couple emails back and forth and go on to the rest of our day or call it a day and go hang out with the kids. Without crop insurance, I wouldn't sleep at night. I want this to be here for my children and then my children's children. That's how generation farms work. The values on our operation mean a lot to us. Our little tagline for our farm is Faith Family Farm, our roots run deep. And we like to support companies that have the same values as ours. FMH is family run, family oriented, and American owned. And that means a lot to us at the end of the day.
So I do think just what those two have to say really does hit home. It's about support. The crop insurance is about risk management, being able to farm again for the next year, and then incorporating the precision just helps them get some time back and ultimately have an accurate policy, increase their APH over time, and then have a good claims experience. So now I want to move into a little bit more specifics of FMH and our relationship with Climate FieldView. And that really goes back a couple of years. So the end of 2018, we announced a partnership. And at that point, our teams began working together saying, really, what do we want to accomplish? What do we want this to look like? How are we going to get there? And by the spring of 2019, we had released our new connection to streamline the acreage reporting process. So producers could link their FMH account with their Climate FieldView information. And then the producer would be able to send their planting data for acreage reporting back starting in 2019. And then shortly after 2020 began, I think February maybe, we released our harvest connection. So same process, same look and feel. The harvest information was now able to be transmitted over to the crop insurance agency. And then since that point, we've just seen continued growth as new agents and new producers start to hear about the connection. They're asking questions, hey, how can I get started? I have my FieldView data, it's right here. How can I transfer that in and streamline my crop insurance? And really what that is, the policyholder center that we're going to get to in just a little bit is able to connect to your Climate FieldView account. And then when you're logged into your FMH account, you're able to just easily transmit either planting or harvest data for crop insurance when you're ready to do so. Your role on the farm really doesn't change. Ultimately, you need to be verifying that you've got your client farm and field structure set up, any offsets that you need to be working with on the planter. And they're very important to capture your planting and harvest data if you're wanting to use it not only for crop insurance, but those agronomic decisions moving forward, making sure we hit record. And then also for crop insurance, we do need to document our calibrations. Like I said, we just need to make sure that the harvest data that we're capturing is accurate compared to that scale source that you may be using. And then when you're done, either planting or harvesting and you're getting ready to send, here we're going to hit on a little bit of data security. So you ultimately choose who you partner with. When I'm referencing crop insurance in FMH, we're only taking what we need, and I shouldn't say taking. You're sending only what we need for crop insurance. So the what did you plant, when did you plant it, and how many acres, and then the wet weight and average moisture on the harvest side. We do have terms and conditions that you would agree that you'll see shortly, and then when you're ready, you just hit the send file request. So here, we're just going to walk through the process, and we need to create an FMH policy center account at fmh.com. We're going to go in and create an account, and the basic information that you'll need is going to be a policy number and a tax ID. So again, you'll need your tax ID and your root policy number there. And then once you're logged in, up in the top right, your name will be a drop-down, and we'll have an integration section that you'll go to. And then as simple as just clicking Connect Account, this is where you're going to enter in your client FieldView username and password, review the terms and conditions, being the planting and harvest activities. And then when you're ready to go, we'll have a connected icon there. And then we'll be able to initiate a file request when you're ready. So you're able to choose planting or harvest, and you would select the year, 2022 for the coming year, and then submit. At that point, both you and your agency would be getting an email, and your agency will take a crop insurance file and ultimately move it on to an acreage report, and they'll be able to provide various map-based reports for you to review and sign off on. So it is a fairly simple process. I know Client FieldView is a very fairly straightforward application, and we want to make sure it's just as simple when you're ready to implement your crop insurance piece. So again, when your agent receives it, this is just a sample of one of our map-based reports. You would also have your CLU information, unit information that you would then verify and sign off on. And I do want to mention the FSA acreage summary report again. So this summer, if you were to transfer your precision data into the agency, that FSA acreage summary report would be one of those map-based reports that was intended to for you to help expedite your reporting process at the local FSA office. It's a map-based report that's paged by farm and then lists all your tracts and fields for that given farm, and then it will list out the crop, plant date, and acres that you planted via precision. So you can take that and transfer that onto the FSA paperwork, have it side by side, and that does make it a little bit easier to go through that reporting process. Basics to get started would be first have Client FieldView, and then also have an FMH policyholder center account. If you are working with an FMH agent already, just ask them, and then we do also have an FMH agent locator on our website. But if you have any questions, you can also reach out to my team just at precision@fmh.com. Here are our precision tech specialists stationed throughout the Midwest region primarily, but we do travel in the outer bands as well, working directly with producers and your agent, answering any questions, helping get started. We're pretty much there every step of the way to make sure that as we get going the first year, everyone's comfortable and that the data is accurate and we're establishing a good crop insurance policy. From there, once you're set up, very easy to just continue to send that information as long as we've got good data on the front end. And then we also have precision certified adjusters. So at the end of the day, they're the ones that you see on the farm if there's a claim. So they're going to be prepared and have your maps ready, and they're going to know that we're proceeding with a full precision claim and not needing to measure any bins or grain bags or on-farm storage at that point. So I'm just going to let you read some of these quotes, and I'm going to tell a recent story that I came across up in North Dakota. This past summer, it was their first time using their FieldView data for crop insurance, and we got to reviewing their precision acreage report compared to the 578s, and we noticed that one of their wheat fields was significantly off compared to their precision data to the local FSA's acreage number. I believe they planted about 250 acres according to their FieldView planting data. but the 578 had 330 acres of wheat on that field. Well, it came to, we brought that up. We're like, there's a pretty big discrepancy on this one. What's going on? The farmer said, yep, I planted 250 acres. The adjuster was able to just quickly go out, visually verify, yep, there's definitely not 300 acres out there. And we were able to use that precision number onto their crop insurance policy, and they were able to go back to the FSA office and make that correction. But had we not incorporated precision, that very easily could have been missed. They would have paid a lot more premium on that farm, and it would have severely diluted their APH. So we're just having an accurate number up front. Let's use the precision information and make life simple, versus potential human error when we're talking about reporting and handwriting at the FSA office. And then for growers in Wisconsin, where they've got, that area of the world has significantly smaller fields. So they might have one field that's 2 acres, another one's 3. We've got a 5-acre field here and there. They have CLUs everywhere. So one unit of corn might have upwards of 100 CLUs, and that is a lot of information to transfer onto an acreage report, and a greater chance for just human error and entering the equation. So again, we've got all the precision planting data that streamlines right in. Our process will key by CLU, and that will just expedite the process for all parties. Our adjuster, Dan Meyer, joined the Around the Farm podcast that Climate puts on, and he is an adjuster for us, and he's also farms in Nebraska. So he's dealing with irrigated and non-irrigated land. He's got some native sod, but he's also got all this precision equipment, and he's been incorporating that into his crop insurance processes and claims processes for several years now. So it was pretty fun to watch them go back and forth, and I would recommend, if you are interested in learning more just from his experience, I would check out that podcast, and it is available on YouTube. So some of my key takeaways is you've already invested in this technology on the farm. We can start to use it more into the crop insurance space, and it's what works for you. So if you've got good planting data, let's start to use that on your acreage report. And if you're not quite there on the harvest data, or if we're not calibrating our combine accurately, that's okay. We can go traditional methods for production reporting, but we could also still use those harvest maps as a load log. And it is all about just accurate policy and driving efficiencies for all parties. If you do have questions, we've got precision tech specialists in the field that will be there to help get you started, answer questions, and make sure that we're comfortable as we get moving down this precision crop insurance journey. With that, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to be here and open it up for questions.
Great. Thank you, Carrie and Branden, for that great presentation around the connection between Farmers Mutual Hail and FieldView. We do have a few questions that have come in on the line, and so we'll take this time to address those. If you do have folks on the line, if you do have additional questions, Carrie, Branden, and also Dawn are great at answering the questions and making sure that you're comfortable with this connection. And so the first question that I will pose to our presenters is that you showed some really nice testimonials from policyholders, and those are really nice to hear. How does the Farmers Mutual Hail and FieldView connection eliminate trips to county offices, and what are some specific time savings that you have heard from farmers around this reporting?
Yep. So for crop insurance, we want to use your accurate precision information. The local FSA offices are not quite there yet. On a large scale, if they say that if they have on file that field is 80 acres, they're probably not going to change it to say that it's 77. So the vast majority of producers that I work with are taking the map-based precision reports provided from FMH and just helping certify. So when I'm looking at my FSA summary report, I'm seeing I planted corn on field 1. This says I planted 77 acres, but I'm going to go into the FSA office and jot down the 80 acres for simplicity on that field, just like you normally would. So you still need to report at the local FSA office, and that is very important for any potential federal government programs. but we do not need, those 2 acre numbers do not need to match. So if we've got your precision data for crop insurance, we can deviate from what's on file with the FSA office. Specific time savings is going to depend on your operation, both size and complexity, if we've got different crops and going on. But we do want to use the resources that we have to make your life easier at that FSA office.
Excellent. Thank you, Branden. Another great follow-up question to that is, does FMH share my data with anyone else?
No, we do not. FMH takes data very seriously, and data security very seriously. Operating under the government federal crop program, they have their own guidelines of what FMH needs to be doing from a security standpoint, and then FMH actually has a little bit of a tighter band of their own internal standards. So I'm glad to say that we only consume the information that we need for crop insurance, and we are not sharing that with any third parties. It's stored on our servers for as long as we need to in the terms of an audit, but once that time frame rolls off, the data goes away.
Thank you. Another question for you all. What if something goes wrong and my data doesn't get collected through my precision monitors and, my systems in my equipment for maybe 1 or 2 fields? What's next then?
Excellent question. As much as we would all love the technology to work flawlessly every time, situations do come up where we may be missing a field on our planting information. If that's the case, if we're missing an entire field or just didn't get it captured, we're able to use a FSA 578 on that field, and we can use precision for everything else. And if there's a hole in the field, let's say a pass just disappeared in the middle of the field, and we see that on our precision data, we're clearly going to say, wonder, that was probably planted, what's going on? We can have an adjuster go out, visually verify, yep, that is planted, and your agent can draw in FMH's GIS mapping system, draw to fill that in and come up with an accurate acreage number. But if we're missing fields altogether, both on the acreage reporting side or the harvest side, we can always fall back on traditional methods. If we don't have your harvest data, that might mean going back to a bin measurement or tracking down settlement sheets. So we're not out anything by starting to go down this precision journey. Really only benefits to be gained. And if something goes wrong, we can always fall back on the traditional methods that we've done in the past. So another great question.
Excellent. Thank you. So I don't see any other questions at this point. Folks, if you do have a question that you might want to throw in to our panelists here today, you have a couple more minutes to do so, and I will pass it over to Scott to give us a closing, and if anything comes up between now and then, I will let you know.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, thanks, Mindy, and thanks to Branden and Carrie for presenting. I think that was an excellent explanation and some really great information for us. I hope everybody on the call could gain some insight into how FieldView and Farmers Mutual Hail can work together for our mutual customers to help make insurance easier utilizing that data that you're collecting. If you want to find more about FMH, you can find them on our climate.com/partners page, as well as some insight into the integration guide that Branden showed here today, as well as how to connect. As always, if there's anything that we can help with on the FieldView side, please reach out to your local Climate FieldView team. Also, be sure to join us next week where we'll have our friends on from Traction to learn more about our newest integration with their accounting and farm management software. And you can always check out all of our future webinars at climate.com/events. Thanks for joining us this morning, and we hope you have a great rest of the week and a safe start to the 2022 season.
Thanks, Scott. I don't see any other questions at this time. I do want to remind folks that the same as Farmers Mutual Hail, Climate does not share your data. This connection, as well as any connection with any other friend with FieldView or partner with FieldView, must be verified with your permission. You must consent to that. You must do the button pushes within your FieldView account to share the data with the people and entities that you want to share with. So we want to make sure that you are in the driver's seat and have control of your data. And so we wanted to remind you of that. We did record this session today, so if you know of someone that you want to promote this to, we will be placing this recording on the Climate Corporation or Climate LLC FieldView YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that, and really appreciate you all that tuned in today. And we look forward to seeing you on another FieldView webinar.